DA out here, Tierney, hired a lot of NYPD police officers. And they brought a fresh look to the case, and they had Rodney Harrison come out here. I was Vice Mayor Street Detective. And we get fresh look is important to understand. Let's take it start from zero, when we had nothing to go forward. So, what we had was, you had with the DA, with the FBI gave you, those two boxes on phone work. No one does it, no one does FBI phones better than the FBI. You gotta bring them into your case. And I was happy to say, in my time as chief of detectives, I had brought in, I think 8 task forces with different federal agencies to further our abilities. They have data systems that we don't have. All right? We only have New York, we have the whole country. They're excellent on the phones. They're Quantico, Virginia, that will do your handwriting for you. Not to have them would be a disservice to the victim and to the city of New York. So we have built these task forces up so we can easily retrieve things from them. And you saw that on the CEO murder that's down in Bob Brian Thompson. But getting back to Gilgo, reanalyze. The big moment came 3 months into the case, and even less than that, where they went back over where someone saw him, the killer. Amber Costello was the fourth victim of that Girls on the Beach #4. And he saw her, and he made a statement to detectives that he was driving a Chevy Avalanche, and that he was a big, tough-looking guy, a huge looking man. Do things that were never released to the public. And if you look at things, they put the Avalanche in what we call WOMANS, which is the data system of the state police. And data systems are important to understand. You put them in every which way but Sunday. You put them in on the commercial, private, you put them on the motorcycle. Whatever you have, you put that in there to see if you can find it. They'll tell you every registration for a Chevy Avalanche in New York State. All right, so from what I understand, it didn't come up. They put it as a commercial, and it wasn't a commercial, it was a regular run for the car. So they missed that. But additionally, you have a grid, you have a box in Mass People Park. One in Manhattan, one in Mass People Park, you got from the cell phones with this guy, right? If you go back to that grid, you would have found that Chevy Avalanche. Everybody know what one looks like? Very distinctive big vehicle. It's kind of like a pickup truck that's actually a car. There's a couple of them around, but Chevy Avalanche is one of the, really now, there's not a lot of them, because no one needs them. But he's right there, Mass People Park, all right? And you would have been up on him a few years ago than you were. Wouldn't understand it. I don't think investigators, because sometimes you depend on one thing and you don't do others. Databases usually work, but like a fingerprint has a 20% chance of failure in the AVIC system. You've got to run it 3 or 4 times. And you do it. It's a task force, so you get it done. Additionally, once you look at it, now you have your guy, and you look at it hard, you know where he lives. You see his day, you see him walk to the train station. Get on the train. If anybody's familiar with Mass People, and I am, this is right on Mass People Park. He's right on the Round Railroad. He'd walk there, walk back, and he's 6'6", whatever he is. You couldn't miss him in a snowstorm. So now you're concentrating on, you want to get his DNA, you follow him around Manhattan, he throws out the piece, I'm forwarding very quickly here. And you take that, and you look at what you have, and it ties to a couple of girls. And the unexplained DNA that came from a female, all right, who's he living with? You take the garbage out, which I spoke about before, comes back to his wife. All right, guys, you got it. That's the case. So, advances in DNA made mitochondrial DNA better than it was when it's going into a court case right now. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how the jury and the judge accepts it. So now you have a very strong case, and then it's post-arrest evidence. So you arrest him, grab him in the street, and you saw the arrest if you were watching TV. I was following the case for years. Used to be a surfer at one time. Gilgo was a great beach to surf at. And I knew the area quite well. It's desolate in the wintertime. But he was dropping these bodies in the summertime. Think about that for a minute. When his wife went away, he went to work. All right? And she went away every summer. So he was doing that in the summertime. He was taking those poor women and putting them, dining them up, and putting them by the highway. Not only that, as the case progressed, he did it 7 times. He's being charged with 7 bodies. All right, and back to 30 years. One lady, but in a position where he did it on purpose to embarrass her even further, and that was the first body that he had, which is right by Internet, a little further away. And so, what do? You do now? You take his door. You go into his cell phone, his computer, and you find a lot of things. He's resourcing this whole thing, committing things, and now you just took a difficult case where circumstantial evidence becomes more compelling as you go along, and you slam that door shut. He's going to jail forever because he's a demon. I haven't seen people this bad in a while, and I've had 0 murders before. So at least 7 murders. We don't know how many more after that. But a great case by Gilgo Beach, by the task force who had it. Yes, ma'am.
Meanwhile, he's pleading not guilty, and with all that evidence against him.
Yeah, it's good. They're always going to play that. It's so compelling that you want to overwhelm the jury. So he can say whatever he wants. He can say I'm fair, I'm really not man. He can say whatever he wants. It doesn't matter. What it proves is important. He's entitled to his defense, which he's got. He's got a pretty good lawyer for it. The lawyer absolutely wants to split the cases. We'll see how that goes. So, again, it's not my case. I'm just speaking about something that I followed. So I don't know all the intricacies of it, but it was a great job by the detectives had the case, some of which were for me. I'm not saying this because of me, it's because he did great work, great investigators. Yes, ma'am.
Why do you think it took them 13 years to identify the suspect?
Well, I'll tell you, they didn't find all the bodies until 2020.
Yeah, but they had, still, that's 2012 to 2023.
2023, it's 10 years. They should have, that one thing is that error initially. We don't know if he's killed again at that time, because that's important. If they didn't find that out, we haven't seen that yet. Again, you stand with one thing, one of the things I'm talking about today, your data system, you should have done the other thing as well.
So why didn't?
I can't tell you about psychiatric. I'll tell you, in my life, you've heard of ComStat?
Yes.
It's a blood sport. I did 22 years of ComStat. And that I would be voice retired after that sentence I know. I'm not going to kill anybody. You get stuck on one thing. In one of our presentations here, you have to pivot. If you watch my show, our show, that's how I watch it, your conversation, you're going to see we pivot all the time to different things. And that's what you have to be ready to do. You have to be elastic. You can't get stuck on one thing. They were stuck on the thing that he was a cop, if you remember. Because Massapequa, Jimmy Breslin once said that there's more cops at night in city cops in Massapequa than there are in New York City working against property rights. So that's big police area. And I go right the next town over, so I understand that. So you get lost on a singular thing, and you have to be able to, and there should be someone telling you, hey, let's take a look at this. That's why you have task forces. People giving you different things. It's important to understand. Yes, ma'am. You have a very sweet voice. Yeah, what? Oh, yeah. That's a lot of that stuff we do. We have a phone unit, all those things. And I'm going to get into a video. I want to talk about the CEO murder, all right, because that's big. And also, if we can't do it, we send it out to the FBI. And they have better resources than we do. And I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you quickly about a case. I don't know if I put it in here. George Ray. Did I put that in? I did a case in Southeast Queens. A gentleman had opened a box that looked like it was mailed to him on his door and exploded. It was an IED at his door. It was at 105 precinct. I was the chief of detectives at the time I went there. And it was black powder. You know about black powder, it's incendiary. It burns. So it burned Mr. Ray, 70 years old, and killed him in 2 days. It was a horrible death. Horrible death. It was a victim activated device, and it had an electrical switch on it. So when he went to open the thing, they'd open the package, it blew up and it killed him. What we had right now. So as the case went on, I saw that it had 2 names addressed to him. The person was addressed to the person who sent it to him. We run their names, and they both were cops. who he's trying to kill a cop now. And both cops worked for you. 6-7 basically established. Took a little personal ownership on that, right? And the sergeant who was sent to the Navy use had just died of 9/11 cancer. So it was a really, really strange case, but my point is, we couldn't solve this case because it was the wrong address. Those guys never lived there. So somehow we got that address for this cop that he was trying to kill. So we went in and looked at all the people he arrested, and we started finding names. We started looking at that, as you would. But how did he find that address? So anybody ever look at white pages online? You look at the white page, try to old friend or something like that, everybody try to stick the name and find it. We did that. We couldn't crunch that data. We took it to the JTTF, the Joint Terrorist Task Force. So we brought them into the case. They came up with a name almost immediately on that individual. He lived in a 6-7. He was arrested by the officer and his partner. So now all of a sudden we have our guy. He's a bomber. He's going to do it again. So you got we hit that door in that house. Guess what we found? 15 days ready to go. So the point that I'm making is, more partners, better chance of solving that crime. Bring the feds in, and now you're not peace. And by the way, the FBI is a great organization. I know this is trying to kill them. Good people. Don't listen to that stuff. They're great detectives. They're not us. They're not our police officers. So, but nonetheless, and they prosecute us and they investigate us, but that's fine too. I mean, I want to talk about, I think it comes up, I've had 3 terrorist incidents that I covered. It's not my jurisdiction, it's the feds. But I'm going to help them because they help us. It's as simple as that. We're all working as one. Everybody needs to know that. That law enforcement is not siloed. It's not like everybody's not, well, it's mine, you can't touch it. It don't work that way. At least it shouldn't work that way. I can't speak to every police agency across the country. It shouldn't work that way. But we think we're big enough that we are big, the NYPD. I tell everybody, if I have something on those terrorist incidents I was talking about, I'm chief of detectives. I make a phone call and 400 detectives are on that block within an hour's time. Nobody can do that in the country, but the NYPD can. So you can lock it down. You can save your evidence better than anybody else can. So, Idaho State murder. Every perp makes a mistake. It's your job to find it. Is everybody familiar with the case? Brutal case. Brutal. And they have the Colbert arrested for it again, just like Gilgo guy. He's innocent until proven guilty. But what's the mistake he made? Everybody know? That's right. He left that knife sheath. Now I'm going to show you a case, same thing, similar I had prior to that. He had his DNA on the sheath he cut, that Rambo knife he had. He left it in the bed. That rage that you saw is just that, it's rage. You lose yourself. And here's something, I think I have it on one of the things though, about hot blood, cold blood. Cold-blooded murder is something you plan. It's planned out. You're going to make less mistakes on that than a hot blood murder, which is rage and happens in the instant. So they're both major mistakes, right? But understand also that in cold blood, Colbert, if he did, made a mistake. He left the sheep there. He also walked by that girl downstairs and saw the bushy eyebrows. I'm not saying all killers have bushy eyebrows, but it's something that you take with you, all right? So he made mistakes. He drove his car, go to security, turned off his phone. But he has to explain how the phone was turned off at the same time. He's not going to take a stand anyway. But nonetheless, you tell the jury that. Because you're tracked by your phone all the time. Also, the white Hyundai. You start looking for that white Hyundai that you have on the video, driving by the house, you look at each car, and you go out in concentric circles like this, and you develop a path. And Tim's 10 miles away in a different state, which was 10 miles from where he was going to school. You ever remember, if you saw the case, you remember the chief who was talking every night? Gray hair, he was a college town chief, gray beard, looked a little like Santa, you know? And everybody was giving him a hard time. So even one of the victims' families said he wasn't going to solve the crime. But guess what? He did everything right. Everything. He kept case discipline, which means you don't give information out. You hold it tight, because when you talk to the press, you talk to the press. And I'm a member of the press. I work for every house. Don't talk to me. but I'm not gonna share it, but you have to understand that. If you put it in the paper, the big guy's reading it too. All right? He did everything right, the chief. What did he do? This is well past me. He put in the feds, he put in the state police. He stopped the crime. Great job by him. CEO Brian Thompson, I will tell you, intense video cameras. If anybody, I said this on ABC too, if anybody commits a crime in New York City, in Manhattan, we're going to catch you. That's outside. We're going to catch you. Because there's nothing you can do. You can't be cameras. They're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. And what do? We not only look at the incident itself, we saw him to kill that man, they're all covered up. He executed that man, actually, his assassination. So anybody who feels bad for him, don't. He's a murderer. And you also look where he runs. I see, remember he had the backpack on? You put that backpack on, I'll follow you to the gates of hell. That's how easy he was to follow. Right to Central Park, all those things. Yes, sir.
Well, the one tip is what really got it, right? Somebody identified.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I'm
I'm going to talk about mistake. Planned murder. You're going to kill me. Planned murder. Like I said, cold blood, but mistakes are made, right? All right, so we follow him. He goes to a hostel, which I knew about that hostel. But also, we look beforehand where he came from. What's the big mistake he made? Went to a Starbucks. Buys a water bottle and a kind bar, it was a candy bar. Took it a mess. So little mistakes as you go along. But they found that at the scene. All right, boy, where'd it go? Detectives really at the crime scene house right here, got it. So now you cover that stuff you had, and what's on it? Fingerprint and DNA. Guess what? They're not on a file. Doesn't matter. So you're not going to solve your crime of getting it. You got to get your guy, but that will take you. That'll take him and put him at the scene. So now it's compelling evidence. That fingerprint and that DNA, he can't say he was nowhere around. We have him at the scene. Good stuff. Good stuff. So to get back to your question, he boogies out of the city, right? You know, goes to a bus station, and he doesn't leave by that bus. He takes it to another location, leaves by that. But guess what? He's still in that outfit. So if you did any work on the guy, I was enamored with the uniform. So we got a hood up, mask across, and he keeps that 5 days later in Pennsylvania. Mistake. Person down said, hey, it looks like the guy he's looking for. Bushy eyebrows, and he goes up. And I'll tell you this. He had the gun on him. Why do you think he had the gun on him? Anybody? He had the murder weapon on him. What's the manifesto? Anybody know? It's yes, of course. They have somebody who got ready lined up. Another CEO. But it'll be tough to let in. I don't know if they're going to get it in because it's conjecture. But it's a good case. It's a strong case. So here you got this guy, this genius. Whatever IQ he had, came from a good family, and he's a murderer. Great work by the NYPD and his partners. He pushed it out. One of the things about New York City is I like to call it the capital of the world, a little prejudice because you live on. I'm an NYPD cop. So we have a lot of resources, a lot of partnerships. We're going to catch you. If not now, get you in a week, month, year, whatever it takes.